Good morning. Welcome to Senate Transportation Committee meeting. I'm going to turn my phone off. I encourage all of you all to do that also. Or put it on stun. And we do have a quorum. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Berg, Senator Carpenter, Senator Elkins,
Present.
Senator Smith, Senator Storm, Senator Wheeler, here. Senator Williams, here. Senator Wilson, here. Senator Douglas,
Present.
Chairman Higdon.
Here. We do have a quorum present and duly constituted to do business. If we would like to have a motion for approval of the meeting on March the 10th and the 5th. And they're in the minutes are in your folder. If there's no edits or corrections, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Any members have guests they'd like to introduce? Okay. First up is House Bill 664. Representative John Blanton. Work zone safety. Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself for the record and have your guest introduce, and we will proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. John Blanton, State Representative from the 92nd District. Let Chad.
I'm Chad LaRue, the Executive Director for the Kentucky Association of Highway Contractors.
Good morning, Jason Sawala, Deputy State Highway Engineer, Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
Mr. Chairman, let me interrupt you 1 second for a little procedure here that we need to do. We have a committee amendment, and the committee amendment just changes a couple words. And see, let me read the committee amendment. It changes the words around. Just peace officer may issue a citation at the time of an offense in the highway work zone based on images transmitted by automated speed enforcement device, and that's the only change. It just changes around just a little bit. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been a long time getting to this point, to get before you all. In November of 2019, a young man, 22 years old, by the name of Jared Lee Helton, from my community, was struck and killed by a reckless driver in a work zone. After his family reaching out to me, I reached out to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and spoke with Jason if there was anything we could do to improve the safety in our work zones. And they'd already been working on looking at automated speed enforcement devices, speed cameras, if you will. I've been a long time getting here because I understand the reluctancy of these things, although many states are using these now and using them successfully. But my ultimate goal is provide safety not only for the workers, primarily for the workers, but also for the motoring public as well. And so we found just recently that Arkansas had legislation that's been in effect, and they've been using for 3 years now. It's shown an 87% reduction in fatalities. That encompasses these automated speed enforcement devices, but also includes law enforcement. So there's not just images sent and then mailed a citation. It's actually a law enforcement officer making a traffic stop, issuing a citation. So I'll go through real quickly what the bill does. This legislation would allow for automated speed enforcement devices to transmit vehicle speed and an image of the rear license plate to a law enforcement officer at or near the end of the work zone. The images will not be retained long-term for the purposes of the courts or otherwise. The officer will serve as the witness to the violation as with any other traffic violation. This system will only be active while at least one worker is present in the work zone. This will be used to capture speeders who are driving 11 miles per hour or more in excess of the speed limit. In other words, there's a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. This bill requires the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to install signage notifying the public that they're approaching an automated speed enforcement device, and this signage must have lights that flash when the system is active. The standard fine of $500 for these speeding offenses will remain the same as our current law states for work zones. As with other traffic violations, a driver may attend a state or county attorney-operated traffic school to relieve them of the $500 penalty, but not the court fees. These automatic speed enforcement systems must be calibrated annually to ensure accuracy, and the officer stationed at these work zones will primarily be using off-duty officers. I would also point out the fines that are collected from this would be put into the work zone safety fund that's been established for years, that's provided officers in the work zones to help pay for this program. So this program is at no cost to the Commonwealth. It's generated through the funds when citations are issued by the officer. My goal here is not to issue citations, Mr. Chairman. My goal here is to slow motorists down as they travel through our work zones and make a safer environment for our people, employees that work in these work zones, and the motoring public as well.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion and a second, but first I want to see if there's any questions. Okay. Senator Douglas, Coach Douglas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Representative Blanton, I just want to make sure that I've got clarification because I think this is a wonderful bill. When there's a citation issued, there's only one citation issued. There won't be any group citations or mailed citations involved.
No, sir. This would be just like any other traffic stop where the officer will complete the citation, deliver that citation to the violator, and then obviously there is a report sent into the clerk's office as this goes through district court, just like any other speeding citation would in the Commonwealth.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I want to thank you too, Chairman Blanton, for bringing this bill forward and including in this bill the responsibility of the industry and the cabinet, because it's it's multifaceted. Making sure that an active work zone is a notice of an active work zone. We have work zones around the state now, and they're not active. You don't know when they're active or not active, and people tend to ignore the warnings because they think it's not active. So I applaud you for that, and thank you very much. Any other questions? Senator Berg. No, I was just saying welcome. We do have a motion and a second. Seeing no further questions, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg. Senator Carpenter. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Elkins.
Mr. Chairman, may I explain my vote, please?
Please explain your vote.
So I vote aye. Representative Blanton, I think is a wonderful bill. And one thing I didn't hear you say, but I think it's important that the public knows is that there must be a worker present also. And you may have said that, I may have missed it, but I think that's an important part of this bill too, is that there must be a worker present. So we're not sitting out there, as you said, just writing tickets to be writing tickets. That's not the purpose of this bill or the intent of it. And I do think this bill will go a long ways towards achieving the goal that you've set out. It's a good bill. I'm proud to vote aye for it.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank
Senator
you, Mr.
Smith.
Chair.
Senator Storm. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Williams. Senator Wilson. Chairman Higdon.
Aye. Motion carries. I will entertain a motion to roll the substitute into a committee amendment
Motion.
and a committee amendment into a new substitute. Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Have a motion and a second on the substitute as amended by the committee amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? None opposed. House Bill 664 is reported favorably with expressions of opinion that same shall pass. Congratulations, Chairman, and thank you all for bringing this good bill to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to members of the committee. But let me real quickly thank Chad and Jason for their work, the highway contractors, the transportation cabinet. We've had law enforcement. We've had all the players, all the people at the table working on getting this done, because we are adamant about providing a safe work environment and work zones for our workers out here. So thank them for all their diligent effort in this. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next up, House Bill 682, Chairman Upchurch and guest. Okay. Mr. Chairman, introduce yourself for the record and your guest, and then I'll call the committee sub.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Representative Ken Upchurch, representing the 52nd District, Wayne, McCreary, and parts of southern Pulaski County. I'll let my guests introduce themselves.
Dalton Wortman, Charter Communications.
And Ellen Call, Charter Communications.
Okay, we have a committee sub. Do I have a motion on adopt the committee sub? I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The committee sub is adopted. Mr. Chairman, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 682 is rather simple. It just gives cable operators and broadband providers, treats them the same as other public utilities for reimbursement costs associated with forced relocation of their facilities during road construction projects. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion on the bill and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg. Senator Carpenter. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Smith. Senator Storm. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Senator Wilson. Chairman Igdam.
Aye. House Bill 682 is reported favorably with expressions of opinion that same shall pass with the committee substitute attached.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you all. Dalton, I'm sorry you didn't get to say anything. You want to?
The best testimony is the one you never have to finish.
Next up, House Bill 493, relating to towing and storage of motor vehicles. Representative Sarge Pollock. Representative Pollock, identify yourself for the record, and and if you want to adopt the committee sub, we'll do that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sarge Pollock, State Representative for District 51, and yes, there is a committee sub.
Okay, well, I entertain a motion on the committee sub. We have a motion on the sub and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The substitute is adopted. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Thank you for the opportunity. 493. For most of us in this room, probably you've had a horrid experience with your vehicle being towed, and then once you get the bill at the end, not having a lot of questions. So this bill here is transparency. It does a lot of things, and I want to appreciate everybody who's come to the table to create this bill. And the one we're presenting today in this committee is one that is we've had everybody come to the table. And when we talk about the toll association, when we talk state police, a lot of senators here brought in their input, and I think what we've got here today is something that we're proud of, and that's what happens when everybody comes to the table and you create good policy. So the tow bill 493 basically says that it's transparency again. Basically, it's 4 years ago this body passed a measure establishing parameters around the predatory towing practices here in Kentucky. Over the course of the past few years, we have continued to see violations with no penalties in place for the Transportation Cabinet to utilize, leaving continued issues across the state. This particular bill basically, again, brings in transparency. It creates a certification mechanism for all towing and storage facilities in the state through the Transportation Cabinet. What that means is this process will require all the participating companies to have a rate sheet on file with the cabinet and made public. The rates shall be reasonable and customary to Kentucky. In the committee sub, we looked at 2 or 3 things in here. We took out initially the cap of $1,500. That's gone, simply because when you present your rate sheet publicly with the Transportation Cabinet, that dictates your rates, and so we thought it was fair to take the cap out. Also, bringing to the table the state police, there was a 24-hour notice because of them bringing to the state police. Something happens on the weekend, we changed that language, basically saying up to 5 days to notify all parties involved. And so that was another good point right there. And then the third in the committee sub, and in this part of it was there was language in there that said no fees. And then we had a tow company basically share the thoughts of when there is an investigation, the tow company is asked to go in to do the investigation. If there's a fatality, those some extra fees. And so we wanted to clarify what that was, them providing that service to help prolong or do the investigation. But we did also address, because sometimes there are all these other fees that could be added onto that don't pertain to anything doing with storage, and so there were extra fees that were sometimes added on. So that's what that language was. That's what this bill does. Again, it establishes the penalties.
We have a motion on the bill and a second. Any questions? We do. Senator Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Pollock, thank you for your work on this sub and making the bill better. I guess one question I'd have from a couple of the local operators in my districts are, when it says reasonable and customary rates to Kentucky, they, obviously I'm from the mountains, and sometimes when they have to deal or engage in a tow, they may have to climb 20 feet down a ravine and hook it up to get the car out, and perhaps some of the challenges are a little bit different than what they would be maybe in Louisville. Is this bill attempting to create a flat rate for the whole state, or would the cabinet be able to look at that region by region?
I think that the cabinet will look at all situations, and that, again, if you've got one over a bluff, that's an extra fee that's reasonable. That's part of the process. Yeah. I think, again, it goes back to that daily rate that's in storage. Obviously the towing part of things, though, but again, that's a common sense approach right there as far as fees that are extra and things like that. Again, that's part of the investigation things. If there's a fatality and the investigation needs to continue and you need to go in and break down a vehicle, that's reasonable. And so again, that's transparency for the tow companies to send that, and working with the Transportation Cabinet. I hope that makes sense. But also, if there's any other questions, I might have to yield to the chairman.
Well, Representative Pollock, I did read the bill, and I think the correct answer on that, and one that you were getting to before I interrupted you, is that every record service has to post their rates. So if a record service in Eastern Kentucky has a higher rate, and I'm not correct on that, you have to post your rates, and you can't charge above what your posted rate is.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I guess the language specifically that was brought to my attention, I guess, is when on the rate sheet they have to post all rates included shall be reasonable and customary to Kentucky. Well, Kentucky's obviously a very diverse state geographically, and that was my concern. I think it's on page 3. Paragraph 9, but
yeah. And I think in the interpretation is, again, like you said, obviously those rates are probably different in Pike County compared to Jefferson County or even Taylor County. So in that particular area, I think it's
In Jefferson County, storage may be higher because there's less
be.
places to do it. I mean, I think that, just recognizing some of the local economic factors, I guess, if they file a rate sheet, I think their main concern is that, if they go through the steps on the bill, then will they be, will they get what they throw out there and are transparent about?
right. That's correct.
See no further questions. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg. Senator Carpenter. Senator Douglas.
Aye, and I would love to say thank you, but it's Representative Pollock.
Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Smith. Senator Storm. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Williams. Senator Wilson. Chairman Higdon.
Aye. House Bill 493 is reported favorably with the expressions of opinion that same shall pass
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
with the committee substitute attached.
Senator Douglas, thank you for that comment. Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Next up is House Joint Resolution 5. Joint resolution designated honorary names in various roads and bridges, sponsored by Representative Branscombe.
Second.
Representative Branscombe, do introduce yourself for the record. And I know you have a particular interest in this bill, and one of your deputy sheriffs was recently killed, and I know you want to say something about that.
I would.
We do have a motion and a second, so we'll call the roll at your when you're ready. So,
Okay. All right.
okay, I apologize. I'm ahead of myself. We do have a committee sub. I have a motion on the sub. That was the motion. Okay. The chairman stands corrected. The motion was on the sub. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have a committee amendment. It's in your packet. Do I have a motion on the committee amendment?
Motion.
We have a motion and a second on the committee amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion carries. The committee amendment is adopted. Now you can speak.
Now we're ready. All right. Thank you,
Representative Branscombe, I'm sorry we had to get that.
That's all right.
We had a last second addition and we had to do a committee amendment. So
No problem at all. Josh Branscombe, State Representative, 83rd District. Thank you, Chairman and committee members, and I appreciate the opportunity to be before you today to present House Joint Resolution 5, which is our road naming bill. This bill is where we honor various Kentuckians by naming portions of state highways and erecting commemorative roadway signs in their honor. I mentioned I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you, but I have to say that it's more of an honor and a privilege to carry this bill. And today I'm doing so in honor of Russell County Sheriff Deputy Joshua Phipps, who was tragically shot and killed on September 16, 2024, in the line of duty while trying to apprehend a suspect. And he gave his life serving and protecting the community and the people that he loved. And Deputy Phipps, he was just a little bit about him, as an avid gun collector, enjoyed shooting guns, hunting, fishing, spending time with his family and friends. And like I said, he passed away doing what he loved, serving and protecting the community. The passing of Deputy Phipps has, it's left a scar on his family and on our community and his brothers and sisters in law enforcement. And, while our community and his family, and we all continue to heal from that, this joint resolution is kind of that process where we begin to honor his service and his sacrifice. And with the committee subs and amendment, we're honoring others across this Commonwealth who've dedicated or sacrificed their lives in service of their fellow Kentuckians, and they're also deserving of this honor. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the time and in honor of Deputy Phipps and the great Kentuckians who are mentioned in this bill, I would appreciate the committee's consideration. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so very much, Representative Branscombe. Road naming is a an honor to get to honor these folks that have given so much to our state and our communities, and thank you for bringing this forward today. I entertain a motion on the bill as amended by the committee substitute and the committee amendment.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended by the committee sub and the committee amendment. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg. Senator Carpenter. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Smith. Senator Storm. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Senator Wilson. Chairman Higdon.
Aye. Okay. House Joint Resolution 5 is reported favorably with the expressions of opinion that same shall pass with the committee substitute attached. And we
Motion to roll the amendment into the.
okay, we have a motion
Committee sub.
to roll the amendment by the committee. Let's see. I have a motion and a second on the substitute as amended by committee amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The committee amendment to the substitute is adopted. And now
Yeah, motion to roll it.
we have to have a motion on that.
You already did it.
Okay, we've already done that.
Your motion is to roll this up and the motion needs to be to roll this up and the amendment into a new sub.
Sorry about that. The motion now, we have a motion to roll the sub and the amendment into a new sub. We have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we have a motion on the title amendment. We have a motion and a second. The title, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Title amendment is adopted.
There you go.
We
Well
got
done,
through it.
Chairman.
Well, it wasn't very well done, but we did.
Better not could have done.
Thank God for staff. Thank you all, and Representative Branscombe. Thank you, and appreciate you bringing this bill forward. It's always a very important part of the session.
Well, thank you, Chairman and committee members. Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have for discussion only, Kavis update. Okay, yes. Senator Armstrong, you have some votes you want to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to be recorded as aye on House Bill 664, 682, 493. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you, and good morning. Okay, like I said, we have a update on Kavis with the sheriff's inspection. So please identify yourself this morning for the record, and the floor is yours.
I'm Heather Stout, the Executive Director of Information Technology for the Transportation Cabinet.
Heather, before you get started, thank you for your work on this. It was a very tough time for you and the cabinet and the clerks, but we got through it, and thank you very much. We were not finished, but it's not we're not in battle like we were back a few months ago. So. Please proceed, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And just like I don't think Avis was ever finished, Kavis may never be finished either, truly. There's always changes coming and new things that need to be improved. The last update I did on Kavis was back in November of 2024, and it was a positive update. Things had greatly improved since the initial implementation in January of 2024. Much fewer complaints. And all of the counties were trending positively in their collections, and a lot of processes had been improved, and training had taken effect, and lots of things had occurred, and that trend is still continuing. The clerks seem like very happy with the system. They're giving a lot of good feedback. We are continuing to improve some of the workflow and processes associated with Kavis to streamline their work even more. And then we've got a lot of additional projects being added on to Kavis as well, and I'll go through a couple of those. In addition, and I will go back just for a second, we are establishing a steering committee. Some of the same members that were on the project steering committee will probably be on this, but it's going to be a group of various stakeholders from the PVAs, DOR, clerks, of course, and others to help us prioritize other functionality that is wanted and other functionality that has been requested in conjunction with all the project work that we still are adding on to the system. And I'll talk about a couple of those things. Of course, the Kentucky Electronic Lien and Titling System, which we call KYELT, is underway. I'll give you some numbers on that in just a moment. That system is planned to be integrated from a fee calculation perspective here in the next couple of months. The testing is going to begin on that functionality in April. And then the full integration with Kavis, where data will be moved over to Kavis from KYELT automatically, so it cuts out the clerks having to kind of copy paste things, is going to happen towards the August-September timeframe or early fall. So that's really positive. I think that's going to make a big impact. In addition, right alongside that, in the similar timeline, is the centralized lien management piece. There's still a lot of questions and things that we've got to finalize with those requirements, but the plan is that will fall in line with that KYELT integration with Kavis in the fall. Along with KYELT, there are 120 clerks processing transactions. 129 dealerships are currently using the system, and 172 dealerships have been approved. So we're still adding more dealerships now. 32,000 transactions have been completed through KYELT to this point. And that'll just continue to grow, of course, and as more, and the volume will continue to increase daily as more and more dealerships onboard. One of the other key projects that we have is the fleets with unexpiring plates. I think we're calling permanent fleet plates. There's, again, still some requirements that we need to gather. We're hoping to get that completed by the end of this year. We've got some web renewal enhancements. That's a big project to enable boats to be able to be renewed online, as well as currently, if you renew online or you try to renew online and you are a day late or 5 days late or 15 days late, it won't let you. You have to go into the clerk's office. But now with being able to integrate with Kavis, we can actually allow that to happen, and you just pay your fees as you would in the office. So that's another enhancement which we think will be really beneficial that's going to be coming. Rolling replating rolling replating is kind of a new term probably, but it's currently when replating occurred in Kavis, or when replating occurred in Kavis, it was done kind of on occasion, right? This point in time, we would remove all plates that were over a certain age and replate them all at one time over the course of a year. What we want to establish in Kavis is that as plates age into a certain age range, then we automatically prompt the clerk to go ahead and replate that instead of having it be bulk work. So that's something that will be worked on. On-demand printing of temporary tags through the dealerships is another key project on our list. I don't have timelines for some of these because they're still early in the discussion phases, but those are some big things I think that are going to bring a lot of great efficiencies to the Commonwealth. Of course, insurance system modernization is on the horizon, as well as electronic sheriff's inspection. To talk a little bit about electronic sheriff's inspection.
Yeah, please do. I think that's of high interest.
So we're nearing the finish line. I believe motor vehicle licensing is getting trained today. So that they can train sheriffs over the next few weeks, and then clerks will be trained in early April. So we're getting very close to implementation. This is a very exciting project. I think the way that it's done now through paper-based forms and having the individual take this paper that has an inspector number and signature on it gives the ability for that to be duplicated fraudulently. And we want to eliminate that possibility, at least from that perspective, and make this an automated electronic sheriff's inspection that will send that data to a system that the clerks can quickly see if that VIN has failed or passed the inspection and be able to proceed with the transfer. Every inspector will have a new login, will have authentication into the account. That's how we'll transfer this data. Sheriffs will have the responsibility to manage their inspectors or the special inspectors through the dealerships, make sure that the right ones are active and the ones that shouldn't be are inactive, and the system will automatically in real time know if someone shouldn't be submitting a sheriff's inspection. So really excited about that. We're nearing the finish line, and think that's going to be a really great project. I think that's all I've got. What questions can I answer for you?
Do we have any questions? Apparently, you explained that very well, and I see some heads nodding in the back of the room. I believe the sheriffs are happy to hear that it's close. We'll if by the 1st of May we don't have anything, we'll call you back and see what's going on.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing, we have a consideration of a referred administrative reg, 502 KAR 010120, proposed as hazardous materials endorsement requirements. And good morning. Please introduce yourselves for the record, and the floor is yours. Turn your microphone and hit the little green light there.
Good morning. I'm Leah Boggs. I'm the General Counsel to the Justice and Public Safety Cabinet.
I'm Emily Horton. I'm a major with the Kentucky State Police.
So this administrative reg amends the fee for the security threat assessment, which is conducted as a requirement of the hazardous material endorsement. This fee was increased by the Federal Transportation Safety Administration, and KSP is required to collect it, so therefore we had to raise the fee. This is the ordinary reg that followed the emergency reg that you heard last month. The fee is increased by $23.25.
Officer Horton, you have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the committee? We don't have to take any action on this. Emily and Officer Horton, thank you all for being here, and thanks for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
We certainly appreciate you. Thank you all. I guess the only thing left to do is motion to adjourn. We have a motion.